Welcome, everyone. We are actually live at the J-Root Studio, Hiddabrut Studio, and we happen to have a very special system that today we are also live on the Lakewood Scoop website where you're able to listen to us live. And therefore, let's go ahead and go pick our topic for today. The immediate topic today is about we all need someone to believe in us, which means that once we have someone that believes in us, it's very different. Where our life is different, we start feeling different. To give an example what that means as follows. That somehow when we have that one person that says, you can make it, I believe in you, that changes everything. Now, many of you would think, is it really simple? Do we really need that to happen? Well, guess what? Yes, we do. And what that means is as follows. Just by having one person that believes in you can change your entire life. If you would like to ask your question or send in your text, we are going to be able to do it today several ways. Number one is through the studio over here that you can ask your question. Call in 718-683-5858, 718-683-5858, or you can text your question to 347-927-8398, 347-927-8398, or you can also go on the lakewoodscoop.com, and there we have questions at the comment where you can post your question, Amir Tashem. We will definitely be reading them. So let's go ahead and recognize who said that we need someone to believe in us. I'd like to share with you one of the most beautiful Gemaras that I know, because people always like looking at others and seeing the great side, what an easy life they had, how wonderful it went of our Gedolim, but we don't like looking at the other side. There's a Gemara in Masechtas Baba Metzia, Daf Pei Amud Aleph. And we all know that when it comes to Lag BaOmer, we all run and we go dancing by the cave of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, 500,000 people, 1 million people. Who was with him in the cave? His son, Rebbe Elazar. And that's who's buried next to him, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai and Rebbe Elazar. But do we know the rest of the story, what happened to Rebbe Elazar's son? Rebbe Elazar was nifted at a very young age, and his name was Yossi, which later he became the greater Reb Yossi. But the Gemara says that his beginning wasn't so good. Rebbe was going over, and he asked, Ikla Rebbe Lasrei de Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon. Amalei, he asked, is there anything going on by him? Amalei Yeshlei Ben, he has a son. Lo Eisi Tzadik. And Amalei says, but Yeshlei Ben, and there was a certain terrible Aveira. He was a young kid, and I don't want to say what it is, but there was a terrible Aveira going on that was happening. What did Rebbe do? Asas Machei Rebbe, he right away took him, Vashalmeil Reb Shimon, Ben Asi, Ben Lakuna Achoiz Dimel. He sent this son, this great son, from this most amazing people, from the grandson of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, son of Rebbe Elazar, which was doing huge averos, and he sent him to his uncle to raise him because he was a Yasam at a young age. And guess what he's saying? Kol Yoma, every day, have Amma, and he's telling his uncle a Christ in the Ozil, I want to leave, I want to get out of here. And he tells him, Amma Lebi, you know what? He tells him, Chacham Avdu Yasach, I'm going to make you into a huge Talmud Chacham. The goal to the Dahava Parsalacha, and I'm going to put on you this huge cloak of gold on you. The Rebbe Karalach, and we're going to call you a Rebbe. You're going to be great. Va'at Amrit, and you're saying L'Kreis on the Azel, I want to run away. And therefore, what had happened is, the Gemara continues, Ki Gadol, when Rav Yosef got bigger, Asi Yosef Mesif to the Rebbe, he goes to Rebbe, and it looks like Rebbe asks the Shaila, and Rabbi Yosef goes ahead and answers. And all of a sudden, Rebbe says, Shmai L'Kola. He raises L'Kola Domi L'Kola de Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon. This voice that I recognize, it sounds like Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon. Amrele, and they said, Berehu, this is his son. And to that, Rebbe said, wow, Kari Olel, Pri Tzadik, this is what the Pasuk says, Pri Tzadik Eitz Chaim, the fruit of a Tzadik is Eitz Chaim, is everlasting. L'Kech Nefosha is Chacham. And someone that knows how to get someone, to bring them back, is a Chacham. And the Gemara says, Pri Tzadik Eitz Chaim, Zer Reb Yossi Reb Elazar Reb Shimon. This is the fruit that Rabbi Yossi got there. But L'Keach Chacham, but with L'Keach Nefosha is Chacham. Who is that? Zer Reb Shimon Bar Asi. Let's realize what Reb Shimon Bar Asi, what his uncle did to him. He's saying, I want to get out of here. I'm a kid from the street. I know nothing. I'm an orphan. No one's looking at me. And you know what he tells him? We're going to make greatness out of you. That's how big you're going to be. It's going to be fantastic. And do you know what happens when someone believes in you? You're able to take a kid off the street and raise him. Imagine what you could do with a kid that's straight, that's going great, how much we can help them. So again, if you'd like to ask your question, to call into the studio, it's 718-683-5858. To text, it's 347-927-8398. Or you can write your question to on thelakewoodscoop.com, and we will be reading your questions. So we're going to start over here, and let's go take a couple of questions, audio questions. Then we will be taking some questions from Lakewood Scoop. Hi, you're on with Mordechai. Listen to both all over Brooklyn, plus upstate, and now in Lakewood. Hello, you're on the air.
Talking to me?
Yes, I am.
Okay, a two-part question regarding a kid in camp with a timeout.
Okay.
A timeout toy, like a Game Boy type of a thing?
Yes.
Okay, so
like a Game Boy, one of those.
Yeah. So the kid is not such a social child, and he asked for it. And we're not sure if we did right. We sent it to him. That's the question number one. A child that's not so social, and we felt that's going to make him give him his comfortable corner. But is it smart, or is it rather he doesn't have what to fall back on and is just going to have to go out and be with boys more social, more into sports, which is really not his.
Okay, so the first part of your question is, if your son is having a difficulty being social, in general he's not that social, and therefore what's happening now is he asks if you could please give him, let's say, a Game Boy or something to play in the camp. This way, when he needs his little timeout, or if he's not playing, he'll have what to do.
Now, the question is if it's going to be a little timeout or it's going to end up taking over all
That's
his free time.
That's exactly what I want. We'll get it. That's great. That's part one. Let me hear part two.
Now, part two is he got the timeout already, and the kids are standing on line for it. Kids are offering him money, and kids are saying, I'm first, I'm second, I'm third, I'm fourth, and then when he finishes and someone wants it, and he gives it to somebody that wants it, it's not fair. There's a whole long line.
That's right.
He is not interested in keeping this whole long cheshbon and being busy keeping track who's getting it first and who's getting it second. No, I didn't have it long enough. He has to be the whole judge now.
That's right. All right, so let's go ahead and deal with part one, which will then lead to part two. Part one is it a problem if you send, let's say, a game to camp, one of these timeout games, Game Boys, or whatever else they should be? And let's realize what happens and what's happening in today's generation. As we know, in today's generation, with cell phones and with all the texting, we're becoming a lot less social, and we're becoming a lot more technical, just like doing little stuff. And what's happening is our social interaction, our ability to connect to people, is getting hindered, is getting harmed, and actually it's affecting marriages, it's affecting communication. But before we go blame technology, like everyone likes blaming technology for everything, let's take it a step further. Because the families are growing, financial strains are huge, which means many families now having two parents that are working, we're having less time to actually educate our children in the details that they need. And one of the details that every kid needs, contrary to what people believe that you have it naturally, which you don't, what it is they need to be taught how to be social. Being social means, how do you connect to someone? How do you deal when someone rejects you? How do you deal when someone makes a nasty comment? Oh, you're stupid. They might not have even meant it negative. It could just be a way of, let's say, complimenting someone. It can also be we got to learn how to start setting limits. We also got to learn how to create time for ourselves. Now, it seems like your son is missing some of the aleph bays in how to connect to people, how to have friends, and therefore what he likes to do is go to his safe zone. His safe zone is, I'm by myself, I'm happy, and I'm comfortable. Now, it's okay if someone has a place where they need to feel safe, comfortable, read a book, but we got to realize that this little issue eventually, chas v'shalom, can turn into a huge issue, which is he's not popular, he won't play sports, or he won't be involved with what people are talking about, and he's going to feel more and more isolated the older he gets. Right. In that case, giving him a Game Boy is actually going to harm him. Instead of teaching him how to connect, how to do that, which means instead of giving him a couple of tools, which we've done before camp seasons, we've had over here on the radio, several parents that called up, several kids that called up, teenagers even, how to connect, we've dealt with that. What we're doing now is we're actually giving him almost his drug. It's like self-medicating. Here you go. Take your little thing, and we'll push off another summer. We'll have another kid that won't be dealing with it. And in reality, that's not what we want. What we want is we want to be able to help you. We want to be able to help them to please, how to connect, how to socialize. Does that make sense?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so step one is, if you ask me now, sending him that Game Boy to camp, was it the healthiest thing? My opinion, you may always disagree, is that it was not the healthiest idea.
Okay, is there any way to back out?
Definitely. Step two is you can have the counselor. Now, before we take away his support system, which is a Game Boy, a timeout, what we want to do is we want to make sure we work on the issue itself, which means I would first have you call the counselor, Usually a couple of bucks helps out also. It doesn't have to be much. You could tell him you'll give him a nice tip. And what you'll tell him is, I want you to hang around my son and make sure my son is sitting in a good place. Discuss topics with my son and other kids. Stop bringing him into the group. When it comes to playing sports or whatever they're doing, make sure he's involved. You'll see that the first couple of times your son is probably going to run away. But after 3-4 days of having a counselor interact with him, integrate him into the system, naturally, everyone follows the leaders, and if the council does that, your son will be a lot more social. And you'll bring him in. Once he starts getting him in there, or at the same time, the council will tell him, listen, the school camp rules are we can't have any Game Boys, and therefore we got to take it away, or we got to confiscate. You can have it, especially Shabbos Nachman's coming up in a week and a half, which means till visiting day you can't have it. It's going to push him to do that.
But it's not really against camp rules.
Well, we could make it against this bunk's camp rules. Very simple to change rules. You know that happens all the time when we got to change the rule for our likings. They change very easily.
But what happens? All the kids have it. It's not like he's the only kid that has it. Kids have it.
Then another thing. Then the counselor can actually limit it. The counselor can take everyone's Game Boys and say, okay, you only get it the last half hour of the day, but the rest of the day you cannot do it during lunchtime. You cannot do it during sports time. You cannot do it before, after davening, before breakfast, because it's going to prevent your son, hold him back from actually learning how to socialize, how to connect, how to sit and have a conversation. And you can speak to the council again to interact, to include him, saying, oh, what do you guys think? Was it a great night activity last night? Oh, and then Chaim, what do you think? Yankel, what do you think? Have him integrate it. Have him say his opinion. If he's quiet, come on, tell me, what do you think? He might not answer the first time, might not answer the second time. But let's realize, I just quoted this Gemara in Bava Metzia about Rabbi Yossi. He was saying, listen to his words, what he's saying. He's saying, I want to run away. I don't want to be here in yeshiva. I don't want to learn. And what did he say? 3 points. Said, number one, you're going to be given, I want to teach you Torah. You're going to be a smart. We're going to give you this golden special robes of Pashava people, and we're going to turn you into a Rebbe. When you give the guy a goal, you include him. Just because he says, I don't want to, you don't back down. That's the power of leadership. We lead, and they will follow. You just got to be persistent. You got to believe in it, and then you get it. With Siyata Dishmaya, of course. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, yeah. I hope it's going to work. The problem is he's not that quiet. It's just that this is his enjoyment.
Exactly, and therefore I would not have sent it to him, and I would have more had him push, and I would, again, include the counselor ahead of time to push him. Thank you for that question. It's fantastic. So for
now the second part.
Well, we got a whole line full of questions, and I just want to be able to take people, plus take text, plus the Lakewood Scoop.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you calling in, and I appreciate the question. Let's go ahead a second. We're going to take a question from the Lakewood Scoop, then we're going to take from the text. And over here, the question is as follows. Let's go pick one of them. My 12-year-old son is diagnosed with ADD. Do you need to take medication, or can it be helped through therapy? Okay, very interesting. Let's discuss 2 minutes what ADD is. And again, this is from the LakewoodScoop.com. Thank you for hosting us. We have it on jrootradio.com, where you can text bring your questions. And the question, let's discuss a minute ADD. ADD is a very popular diagnosis going on. I will tell you, in my opinion, as we have over here, Rav Nissen, president, and also likes the title of technician of J-Root Radio, of Hitabroot over here, likes going under the title technician, is laughing at that. It's an overdiagnosed diagnosis. Why is that? And one of the ways before you diagnose ADD, you have to rule out certain issues, which no one does. So let's clarify a little what ADD is. ADD is the concept when the brain, imagine our brain, let's say, sends messages, let's say a certain speed from 1 to 10. Let's say an average mind is going 6 or 7. I'm just shooting numbers here. Let's say the speed limit's 65. The brain of an ADD person is shooting 95, 100, 120, which means they see more, they smell more, they taste more, they'll drive the car faster. They're going to be learning so much more. They're going to understand and know what the Rebbe wants to say before he's saying it. And many times the Rebbe will say, but you didn't hear me, you didn't let me finish. But he already is assuming because the brain is double the speed, triple the speed. And that is ADD. So it stands for attention deficit. And then there's another part, H, for hyperactive disorder. And that's a diagnosis which means that the mind is running and racing. It gets easily distracted. Not because they can't focus. It's just the opposite. They see so much. They'll notice the fly in the room flying, which a regular kid would have noticed it because their brain is on a super drive. They're able to notice everything. Imagine you have a radar, which when you have for the airplanes, it's got to be set to a lower setting that you don't pick up airplanes I mean that you don't pick up birds when they're flying and other animals, but if it's set to that high setting, you're going to pick it up. That is ADD. Now, why do I feel it's overdiagnosed? If there are problems in the family, kids, the brain goes under stress. How do you feel when you're under stress? Under stress, you're nervous. And guess what happens? That happens to kid too. And that means that if you're nervous, if the kid is nervous, if the kid is under stress, if there are fights going on in the family, if the kid didn't eat well, or if there are other stuff going on, now his mind is going to be nervous and tense. So do you know what happens then? Very simple. It looks like it's ADD, and they might try to medicate. Well, it might be something else. Therefore, a professional therapist or a psychiatrist is supposed to rule out, and we know what to do, how to rule out these issues before we start diagnosing. Now, can ADD be treated with therapy? On certain levels. It's like everything. Imagine the car is only going 75 miles per hour. Yes, then you can slow it down to go, hey, just go 75 above the speed limit. It's not a problem. But some people, the mind is shooting at 120, where then usually therapy might have a bit of a difficulty for it to be able to work. So thank you for that question from the LakewoodScoop.com. Meretz Hashem, we will be going back to your questions. Now we're going to be taking a question that was texted in. And maybe I should refresh the page. Okay, we got over here a question from all the way of New Jersey. Hi, Rav Nissen. Tell Mordechai to speak tonight about going to therapy. Shidduchim with someone that went to therapy, say over everything that went through your phone line this week about the subject. Let more people. Okay, wow, we want to bring up over here controversy. Okay, let's go fill you guys in with a little idea. First of all, I would like to thank V'lechtuchu V'derech, which they sell the shiurim, my programs of shiurim in Yiddish in all Bata Midrashim, as well as now what's happening starting as of tomorrow, the English shiurim, the English programs that I have where I give an hour shiur, as we've just mentioned with just some of the Makairis, they're being sold in the local stores. So in Bar Park, you can get in Super 13, Mega 53, Gourmet Glot, Kosher Food Depot, Food Mart, 45th Street. If you'd like in Flatbush, you're able to get it in Eichler's. In Lakewood, you can get it in Zundel Berman's, Judaica Plaza. All of them in Muncie, you can get it in Tuvia's, Merkaz Asfarim. And in the mountains is a huge list. ABC Toys, Landau Supermarket, Judaica Store next to Gumbos, Harkolbus Safe from Woodburn, Center 1, Bayreuth, Fishman Supermarket, Green Fresh, all these wonderful places. On this phone line that I have, which you can listen to shiurim all free, and it's mental illness of my father, the number is 718-298-2011, 718-298-2011. We had a question of someone calling in saying that he's dating a girl, and she told him on the fifth date that she's not on medication, she had OCD. Is it a problem for Shidduchim? Should he drop her or not if she was admitting it? And she said she finished with everything with the therapy at the age of 17. So she's now 19 years old. 2 years later, should she date or not? Or should he marry her now? And what I explained is OCD, an emotional disorder, is just like any other physical disorder. What you do is you speak to the doctor. Chas v'shalom, if a person went for therapy and they got better, that you should say no to this person. Right, Harav Nissen? What do you say to that? Let's go hear his opinion.
Who am I to say about Shidduchim, because it's a huge topic.
Yes.
And we spoke about it so many times. I know that if we taking now the Shidduchim as today with all the Shatchanim, I tell you nobody will be married. Not our forefather, Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak, everybody is going to be bachelor for 120 years. I'm telling you, this is one of the things that we are really become a little bit lunatic. And if Avraham Avinu knew that Sarah doesn't have a womb, he was supposed not to marry her. Yitzchak Avinu, her father was a crook and a brother was a crook. How can he become married? And I give you all the list of other people that, of our forefathers. It's amazing. We are trying to imitate HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Telling you, we have Dor Yesharim, Dor Akumim, all this stuff. It's around. We become, who are we to choose? I know that people has a certain issue, but believe me, with the tefillot, with other stuff, we can go over, and if this is your destiny, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's your shidduch, and you feel she is right for you, I don't see any problem. And yes, you have to consult your rabbi, you consult the doctor, and see and a close friend, if she is behaved normal. But if you think she is right, and after 5 dates, you feel she is okay, I would say go ahead. It's nothing to do, and you have to pray to Kadosh Baruch Hu that he send you zivug mishamayim.
Okay, let's go ahead. So let's go. Stay on. Let me tell you the controversy that was going on. So that's basically what I said. And what I also said is someone that got better, why should we, chas v'shalom, why should she not get married? Then I took it one step further and I said, if you really want to start going on everyone, how about the yeshiva bachrim that are sleeping late or someone that has an anger problem? I think he should also divulge that at the fifth date, saying, you know something? My father yells a lot. I yell a lot. Just because she went to therapy, she went to take care of her problem and she's healed, that should be a problem? But then we had the next question, which is number 151 questions, where someone came forward and said, I went for therapy and I'm a better person. I'm better in my marriage. I'm better understanding a person. If my spouse would have a problem, I know how to deal with it. So then that went great. Then I got the next question, number 152, and there a girl, Nebuch, blasted me. She said she was married for 8 months to someone that had OCD, and they got divorced, and she blames me and all the therapists and many other people that how could you say OCD is okay? It's a huge problem. You can't heal it. They told her everything's okay, and now she's a divorced girl. Which I responded to her that my pain, I really feel bad for her, and I really do feel bad for the pain that she went through, but they didn't do the research. You speak to the therapist. I've had someone that tell me, when it comes to shidduchim, please say I'm all healed, and I go, but you're not ready yet. And guess what? He just dropped me, and he went to someone else that will just say it's okay. A licensed therapist will not lie, is not allowed to lie. It's like a medical profession. And you got to tell the truth. So do your research. Which we've actually had one last question. I think that was number 156, which the person actually said that guess what? This is the lady that said she was married. She came from a difficult background. She wasn't aware of it. And I consider marriage a times 10 principle, which means when you're married, whatever's going inside gets times 10. If you're hurt, pained, it's going to be times 10. If you're happy, stable, it gets then times 10. And this person said she got married and she wasn't so healthy and stable, but her husband stuck by her and said, you're going to get better. I see you'll get better. They went from one therapist to another till this Baruch Hashem she got better. And she says now she's living and laughing and her husband's got a better wife and she's far healthier and better than everyone else. Now, Harv Newsom, this is what's going on. This is what that caller's been asking we should discuss. So there's been a lot of attack.
I know. I want to tell you, we spoke about it so many times in the radio, and we had a special program about it, and I couldn't hold myself when there was a special program about the shidduchim, and I don't accept this kind of approach that you have to make all the research and you're going to do. And if HaKadosh Baruch Hu want to give you a healthy boy or healthy girl, he will give you. If he want to give you someone is chas v'chalila sick, he will give you. That's if you can check yourself. You go all over them under microscope, under MRI, under all these kind of things, and nothing will help you. I saw on the paper so many shidduchim that it seems perfectly, and after 3-4 months they divorce. Unfortunately. So who we are to make this decision? I with all respect, I cannot say it, and I don't know any shadchan here that know how to make it. Right now, I have the Gdolim. Yes, I'm salute the Gdolim. I really understand the Gdolim as kind of Ruach HaKodesh and see what they see. Who am I to say it?
All right, we've got some fantastic questions. Let's go take 1 or 2 voice questions, and then we're going to be going back. All right. Yes. Hello. You're on the air with Mordechai.
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Let's say on Shabbat, you have maybe chicken cooking or cholent, and let's say the oven it shuts off while it's cooking, and it's like the afternoon, and you need it for the night of Shabbat. What do you do? Are you allowed to call a goy to put it back on?
So this is a wonderful question, but this is really a halacha question. One of the things that we have to learn is that if something is not your expertise, you try not to deal with it, right? So you want to know what's the halacha if something happens and could you do on Shabbos? Let's leave that for the Rabbanim. So let's see if we can get you a Rav. Maybe you can ask your father who's a Rav that can answer that question. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Let me also tell you how it's very brave of you to call in and to ask your question. That's impressive. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Sure, my pleasure. And thanks for holding.
Bye.
All right, we got another question. You're on the air with Mordechai. Hello? Hello. All right, let's go take another question. Hi, you're on the air with Mordechai.
Hello?
Yes.
I have a problem.
Okay, let's try to hear it.
I'm afraid of the dark.
Ooh, let me ask you, how old are you?
10.
You're 10 years old, and what are you afraid of the dark about?
That someone's going to come and kill me.
Whoa. And how long are you afraid of this?
since the beginning of the year.
Since the beginning of the year. Do you know what happened, why it started? Like, did anything ever happen? Did you hear a story or something?
Yeah.
What happened? Let me hear.
I read something about like a murder.
Okay. Is it in a book? Is it a true story? Did it happen to a Yid? What?
It happened to a Yid.
And is it a true story, or is it one of those fiction, one of those make-believe stories?
It's true.
It's true. And what happened when you heard that story?
I got very scared.
You got scared that Chas V'Shalom might happen to you, or to your family, or to everyone? Yeah. To who?
Yeah.
Let me hear. To who?
To me or my family.
To you and the family. So let me ask you something. First of all, I want you to realize that it makes a lot of sense, which means that if a kid or even adults, when we hear a story, and when we get older, we start noticing that, hey, things can happen. We don't always feel so safe. Then, when we're not feeling safe, then we can start being afraid. And whenever we think about that, we get afraid. That's the power of the imagination of our mind. It means every time we think about it, we can be afraid. So if you would sometimes think about it, even during the day, do you get afraid?
No, only at night.
Right, but let's say you think about it by day. Oy vey, it's going to come at night soon. Do you get afraid?
Yeah.
Exactly. So what I'd like you to realize is that our mind works, that when we imagine something, it works as if it's real, as if it's happening now. Make sense?
Yeah.
So now, what I'm going to work with you is we'll do a couple of minutes how to get you to be able to feel relaxed and confident that, Meretz Hashem, you won't be afraid. But just announce for a couple of people, the number to call in for the studio is 718-683-5858, 718-683-5858. And if you'd like to text your question, actually, we've got a huge amount of texts. Or you can do it through the Lakewood Scoop. Just email your question, or actually put your question by the comments area, and we will, Meretz Hashem, address it. So let's go ahead, and again, the number to call in is 718-683-5858, 718-683-5858. So now your question is, you're afraid, right? Let me ask you, what feeling, that if you would have that feeling, you would know that you're going to feel so safe? Like if the Rebbeinu Shalom is next to you, if your father would have a gun in the house, what feeling would make you feel safe?
That I know that nothing's going to happen to me.
Excellent. What can give you that feeling that you know nothing will happen? How about if you know that there's policemen always all over the streets?
Yeah.
Excellent. So could you now close your eyes for a second and imagine and know how safe we are? That not only do we have policemen watching, but there's something called the National Guard. That is the Army, which is there in case there's ever needed for emergencies. They're there. Then you also have the Shmira, special from people that drive around all day and all night. If there's something going on that you're not even sure, they're going to check it out even before the police come. Plus, we live in big communities where there's a lot of people. Everyone here is protecting everyone. All you have to yell is, Chaptzam, hey, there's a Ganav, and everyone comes running by day, at night. How would you feel? Would you feel more relaxed and calmer then?
Yeah.
So could you imagine now, because we're not done yet, I want you to imagine now that it's at night, and how do you feel knowing there's the police, there's the whole army, there's everyone around protecting you?
Very good.
Good. Now, when you think about the night right now, how do you feel?
Good.
Now, how would you feel if you know that in case there's ever an emergency, your parents can always, and you can always call 911. Know that on the phone you just dial 3 buttons, 911, and right away everyone comes running to protect you. How do you feel?
Good.
So I want you to imagine that a minute. Feel that you're safe. It comes at night, and if you ever get afraid, you start thinking, I have the police, I have the army with these huge guns, machine guns, and they have tanks. They're all there to protect you. Isn't that a good feeling?
Yeah.
Excellent. And now, could you imagine when you read that story, and you could think, okay, well, that person was killed, but I have the police, and I have the army, and I have the Shamrim, and I have everyone protecting me. How do you feel then?
Good.
Excellent. Do you feel better now?
Yeah.
Excellent. Let me hear. Why do you feel better? What do you feel changed?
Because I know that the person's not going to come.
That's right. And do you know by any chance if that guy was arrested?
No.
All right. Well, we'll help you find it. Excellent. Good. Thank you for that question. So the number to call in, we're going to take another question, but the number to call in is 718-683-5858, 718-683-5858. And again, to tell people, if you'd like to hear my shiurim for free, L'il Nishmas my father, these are our shiurim. with psychology combined with Torah Makayers. That is 718-298-2011, 718-298-2011. If you'd like to get the Shiurim in Yiddish, they're in all the Bat Midrashim we have of V'lechtecha V'derech, and they're under over there Harav Mordechai Weinberger Shlita. That's a pretty nice title. And if you'd like to get the programs in English, they are sold in all the Svarim stores and all the local stores. You got it in Muncie and Tuvias, you have it in Lakewood and Olders and Bermans, you got it in Judaica Plaza and Borough Park, you got it in the stores in Super 13, Mega 53, Gourmet Galat, Kosher Food Depot, Food Mart, and you got it in the mountains all over, in ABC Toys in South Fallsburg, Landau Supermarket, Judaica stores, called the Sefer and Woodburn, Center 1, Bayreuth, Fishman Supermarket, Green Fresh Supermarket, Mutti Supermarket in Swan Lake, Raleigh Hotel, and T-Birds. Wow, so we can get them all over there. And you're on the air with Mordechai. What's your question, my friend?
Hi, me?
Yes, I guess so. Yes.
Yeah, hi. First of all, I called a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
That I was people told me they heard me. I was the lady that was very, every time my husband, skipped a turn, missed a turn, I got very scared that we're going to get lost.
Yes, I remember that.
I'm telling you, after I put it on the phone, I didn't believe it's going to work. I said, okay, fine. I did not, I didn't even think, oh, my God, my mother, nothing. I didn't think anything. Afterwards, I'm like, okay, fine, we'll figure it out, whatever. It was just nothing happened.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was really great. It happened 2 times, and even in other areas that I didn't even think. Now when I look back, I'm like, hey, I would never do that because I would be too scared.
Excellent. So let's go ahead and get it. So let's hear. I'd like you to share with everyone what we did, and let's go ahead and share. So what was your question? Your question was that when you're driving, you're afraid.
No, not that I'm driving. My husband I don't drive. My husband's a driver.
You feel safe.
I go out with him.
And I actually remember what it was. It's funny, but with the train, right?
So I said that. What did I say about the train? I don't even remember.
You said when we went back, I asked you, when was the first time that you were not feeling safe when you make a wrong turn? So let's go ahead and share with everyone. So what happened was, the question was that you're in the car with your husband. If he makes a wrong turn or if he's going somewhere, you get petrified, right? You get afraid.
Only if he doesn't know where he is.
Exactly.
I used to tell him, don't even tell me you're lost because I can't handle it.
Exactly.
Make as if you're in the good place because I can.
Excellent. Yes.
And now he's like, oh shoot, I missed the turn. I'm like, okay.
Exactly. And now, would you like to share with everyone what we did because it's so beneficial?
So basically, you made me feel like I should imagine something but you made me in a certain place like I was shaking, scared. I'm not joking. And then after you told me to imagine my mother, I was, oh, okay, I'm so relaxed.
Exactly. What we did was the basics in therapy, and it was actually interesting to be able to do it on air in less than just about 5 minutes.
I did not believe it's going to work.
Thank you. Exactly, but this is what I do all day. Halavaya would be as good in learning as I am in therapy. Then it would be.
I have another question about a completely different topic.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I have a friend, I have friends. They're married, and our family. We're very, very close to them.
Yes.
Very close. We helped them a lot before they got married, and now they're married and they have a kid. So after she got married, she didn't really have parents to go to after she got married for dinner. So I said, okay, I'll have her once a week. And now she has a kid, and I don't know, it's becoming too daunting on me to have her. I love her dearly, and I love her husband, whatever. I love them dearly. I don't want to hurt anyone, and if I tell her she can't come, then she really doesn't have where to go, and also, she might look for other places to go to that are not good.
All right. Let's go ahead and deal with this a moment. And let's recognize.
It's very complicated, histories and things involved.
All right, everything is nice and dandy, but we got to realize the basics, the olive base in everything. The olive base in everything is that you got to be able to say a yes and you got to be able to say a no. Okay. What type of mother would you be if you've never told your kids no, which means you can stay up who knows how late?
I know.
That won't be. So what we've got to learn is, and somehow this is another point in this generation that I would almost blame, I hate saying it because I'm a therapist, but that therapists have almost knocked out the confidence in parents to be parents, which means the generation in the past was a little too strict, and therefore there was a lot of damage. But what's happening is, because of that damage, we've swung too much to the other side, that we're afraid to be assertive, we're afraid to say no, we're afraid to say this isn't good for you. And guess what happens? What happens is now we have a generation that everyone is weak, everyone's afraid, we're afraid to be honest, we're afraid to communicate, we're afraid to talk. And if that happens, do you know what happens? We're not real. We can handle difficulties when they come. I'd like to share with you one pasuk. It's a pasuk in Malachim, and it's an interesting story it's actually a sad story, but that was almost all the kids from David HaMelech, which is called now the grandchildren going through Shlomo HaMelech, were almost all killed out from a grandmother that married in. There was one son that survived, and his name was Yayish, and he was protected by his uncle, the Kohen Gadol. You know where he was hidden? He was hidden 6 years in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, because that's the one place where they thought there's no way for anyone to survive there, and he's the only person that was able to. Now let me share with you a pasuk that the pasuk is in Malachim Beis, Perik Yud Beis, and it says, Vayas Yayish hayasha be'enei Hashem kol yamav asher hayruha Yehoyada HaKohen. Yayish, the king, was straightened be'enei Hashem. You know how great it is? Can you imagine on me and you, the Rebbeinu Shalom would be made to say, wow, was Yasha, but all the days of Yehoyada HaKohen. And Rashi says why. When Yehoyada was nifter, this says over here, the Sarei of Yehuda were telling him, you're mamish a god, lahavdil, a god. Why? Because people, a Kohen Gadol, can't go an hour into Kodesh HaKadoshim and survive. You were there for 6 years, and he lived for an Arichas Yamim. And unfortunately, the pasuk says that that's what happened. He started to believe it, and that's why after the Kohen Gadol Yehoyada was nifter, there was no one there to ground him. What we take out of this is a Rebbe, a principal, a parent. Our job is to build him up, which Yehoyada did. He made the whole revolution, and he got him to be king, and he guided him. When you have someone telling you this is good and this is not good, that's when you have a healthy person that gets to the level that the pasuk is made. Yashar be'enei Hashem. Can you imagine how great it is? But part of that is we've got to be able to say no. When he didn't have that person to stand up to the king and say, Your Highness, but it's wrong, this isn't right, unfortunately, it can end not well. That's what Rashi is teaching us. You have certain fears, concerns, and these are one of the things they teach us in therapy school, which is extremely important. That is, we don't own the client. We're not responsible for what happens. We let go. We do our little drop, and we let the Rebbeinu Shalom take over. And if it's not us, then someone else will take over. Part of your control, or you're wanting to protect the situation, steer it in a certain direction, that is very simple, because unfortunately we feel that if we're not involved, it's not going to work out. Therapists get training in that, how just to do hours and to let go and wait for the next session. And if they fall, it's no problem. We'll be there to pick you up again and again and again until you finally get it on your own. For those people that don't let the person fall, you're never giving them the opportunity to learn. You're never giving them the opportunity to stand on their own feet. And then instead of teaching them how to be independent, you're actually making them dependent. So now, with your question about that friend, creating a healthy boundary for you is the most important point. And we start that when we go to social work school, psychology school, mental health counseling. They balance you. They tell you, hey, you're getting too emotionally involved. You're owning it. Let go a little. You're worried the person will fall. You will be there in the healthy space to pick it up. You can discuss it openly with them. Hey, how can we get you some better place? How can we get you to better people that you should hang around with? You can help them out with that. But one thing we don't want you to do is we don't want you to own it. We don't want you to feel that you must take care of it. Does that make sense?
You described it to the button, that I'm afraid to let go because I feel like, who knows?
That's right, and this is where we get supervision.
I don't know what to say.
And that is...
I'll tell you even another example. Like once she did me, like there was a party and she baked me something, and then she asked me afterwards, for a very hard thing. And I told her, I really can't. I'm so sorry. I really, honestly can't do this for you. And then she's like, oh, you're feeling guilty because I did this for you. Like, oh, my gosh.
All right, so let's go ahead and recognize there's a lot where you just need some guidance. How this isn't something you need to be able to...
Complicated,
that's right, and it's a little bit manipulating and all that. And you need a little bit of guidance. This isn't so simple. Recognize that therapists, we go through 3 or at least 2 supervisors guiding us. When we do our internship in the place where we do it, we have a supervisor. Plus in college we have a supervisor, and we also have an entire peer supervision where the students as well supervise each other. That's part of it. So we got about 3 different systems supervising us as we deal with this, and it sounds like you just need a little bit of help how to deal with that. But keep up the amazing work. Keep on helping Klal Yisrael, because we all need someone. We all need a mentor. We all need a coach. We all need someone there to believe in us, to help us. But at the same time, the coaches need a little coaches as well. The help need us. All right, let's go ahead and we've got over here a question. Mordechai, you leading a support group in Lakewood. Sounds like you must know a little bit more about me than we tell because it's a secret that I actually live in Lakewood. We'll take some more callers in a couple of minutes. We'll do some questions over here from that we've gotten texted in, and we'll also do from the Lakewood Scoop. Yes, in Lakewood, there is a group that is forming that I will be running. It is completely for free. It is done for Chesed, run by an organization for Chesed, and this is one of the mitzvahs, one of the free tzedakah things that I do to help people. And the question is, what is the topic and how does one join? I hate to say that I'm sorry that I do not remember exactly or know how to join it, but I would ask you if you'd like to call Relief. Let's see if I could get their number over here. Just a second, because I know they will know the place. Or, Meretz Hashem, you know what? Let's do it differently. I will have it for you next week, the number where you can join. This is all done by Chesed, for Chesed, to help us to grow in Lakewood. Yes, there are groups. There's actually two groups that I'm in. One I participate in, and one, Meretz Hashem, we will be leading starting. And it's done for Chesed, done for men. They already have several groups for women, but for men, this is what they're starting now, and it's amazing how it helps. And group therapy is a very powerful concept. Harav Nissen, we have over here a question for you. Dear Nissen, so if someone has Yena Machla, cancer, should I not do research? Just before Harav Nissen answers it, let's clarify over here. I want to defend him over here. I think this is not right. Harav Nissen is not saying don't do research. He's not saying that you shouldn't check out what's happening. And he's not saying that if someone has a mental disorder, just go ahead, jump into it. Imagine someone is bashing their head in the wall. He's not saying go ahead and marry the person without doing research. But anyhow, I just feel we have to defend him. Now, Harav Nissen, you can take over.
You know what? God forbid, you get married, and after 10 days, you find that your spouse is getting the machla. What are you doing? If this is your new sayon, yes, I would say that definitely. But I don't say that you don't marry, as Mordechai said. Yes, we have to check. We have to check very careful before we're doing. We have to consult our rabbis, our people that knows the mishpacha, but it's many things. And I tell you, I have so many stories. Believe me, I can write a book. War and Peace, this size of books that can about shidduchim, that people from Johannesburg, South Africa, married, in Brooklyn, New York, and all over Kadosh Baruch Hu running this show. And whatever you do, if we are believers that the Kadosh Baruch Hu running the show, so we cannot hide. You cannot hide without, the testing and all this stuff. Believe me, we have to understand this is we running the Torah, and we're trying to believe that Kadosh Baruch Hu is helping and protect all of us. That's what I think.
Thank you. Wonderful and beautiful.
And by the way, you're spelling my name Nissim.
Very good. We'll go overhead. First of all, we got over here one of the questions asked, where can they hear the shiurim that we have? Meretz Hashem, we're going to try to hook it up over here to the program, but to listen, to call in, it's again a free shiurim. It's at 718-298-2011, 718-298-2011. We'll
Bezrat Hashem will be connected to
we're going
Radio
to
and all together, and also we can purchase the shiurim from J-Root Radio all together.
Excellent.
With that, Bezrat Hashem, this is with our
beautiful. There are so many shiurim. That's right. We got to get it out. Should we take that question and then let's go ahead and no. All right. All right. Rav Nissen says yes. We take it. Yes, sir. You're on the air with Mordechai.
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Yeah, there's someone in my bunk that always bothers me, and she throws down my stuff, and it really bothers me.
That is so cute, by the way, that you're calling in. How old are you?
I'm 8 years old.
8 years old. Wow, you're a mature girl. Listen, what?
Wow, it's really wow. I want to tell you, one of callers was like 10 years old, and he said, I'm very happy to say that Mordechai gave a very nice example about a man that stood behind his wife, sick wife. This is his language, and I was amazed at the way of so intelligent kids, it's unbelievable. To our kids.
Let me share with you an interesting story. There is one of the top, do you mind if you just hold on? Just stay on, but we're just going to just deal with what Rav Nissen said. There is one of the top marriage counselors in the world. He's like listed, I think, in the top 10, and he's actually from Baal Tshuva. His name is Dr. Mordechai Gottman, or John Gottman, as they call it. He did an interesting study. He said he had a couple fighting by him. Both are very productive, very successful people in business. And he says he is fighting, and he is saying that his wife is spending too much money. And the wife is saying, let him go to work. Let him earn more money, and then I can spend that much. And he's fighting back and forth. So he takes it. He goes to a class of 8-year-olds, and he tells them, what do we do? There's a husband fighting, saying his wife spends too much. The wife is saying the husband should earn more. What should they do? He says, within 2 seconds, half the kid's hands are up in the air, and the kid says, I know, he should earn a little bit more, and she should spend a little bit less. And he's asking, why is it that for 3 sessions, 2 intelligent adults can't figure that out, and they're fighting, and over here you got a little 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds that can figure it out?
No.
Yes. Wow, Rav Nissen is I love that. Okay, there is a beautiful text thanking Rav Nissen. Yes, I agree with that text. Let's say it. Rav Nissen is so holy, he's probably putting a lot of bricks in the building of the Beis Hamikdash with his good deeds and bitachon. Okay. Now, let's go ahead to your question. So your question is that you're in class, and there's a person in class that she seems to be throwing down your books and throwing down your things, right?
He's right.
Yeah. Now, did you say he? She.
She.
Right, she. That's what I thought. Now, what I would like you to do, are your parents listening by any chance?
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, how are you in the house? Well, let's see if someone wants to do something. Do you know how to say no? Could you say no, this isn't right, or please stop? Or do you usually stay quiet?
I say please stop, but she doesn't listen. She keeps on pushing or does the same thing.
Mm-hmm. When you say it, do you say it confident, like please stop, or I'm going to tell the mower, or it bothers me, stop, stop, stop? Say it sometimes 4 or 5 times. You just say it once, like please stop, and the girl just does it.
I say please stop, and she just does it.
Okay, interesting. So what I would like to work with you, and if your parents can hear, this is called practice. It's called a little bit role play. And what that means is you're going to be sitting with your parents, Meretz Hashem, and you're going to start, let's say you're going to act like you're the girl, and you're going to have your parents practice with you and tell you, stop. Let's say her name is Shani. Let's say her name is Rifki. You're going to say, Rifki, please stop. And let's say they're going to do it, and your parents are going to say, Rifki, please stop. And then you're still going to do it. They'll go, Rifki, we asked you to please stop. And then you're going to do it 3 or 4 times, and you're going to see how it feels. By the 3rd or 4th time, you're going to want to stop. And then they might say, Rifki, please stop, or I'm telling Mora. And which might happen is you can also tell the teacher ahead of time, look, Rifki is bothering me. When I go over to you, please keep an eye on us. Then what's going to happen is now your parents are going to switch. Now your parents are going to act like Rifki, and they're, let's say, going to touch your things or knock your things, and you're going to go, Rifki, please stop. And then they're still going to continue doing it. Now you're going to say it more assertive with a stronger voice. Rifki, I told you to stop. It bothers me. And then they'll still do it. And then you're going to say, Rifki, please stop, or I'm telling Mora. Which means you got to get stronger. A lot about it is about practice. Many times people say, let kids figure it out. We don't figure anything out. Everything that we're taught, everything that we know was basically taught. And part of what we need to be taught is how to be assertive. We need to be taught how to stop people that hurt us, that bother us, in a healthy way, not either to take it or not to start yelling and screaming. That's one step. There's also another step that you could do ahead of time that I'd like you to practice with your parents is that before you're going to go, let's say, tomorrow to day camp, to your bunk, you're going to go over to, let's say, we'll call her Rifki, and then we're going to say, Rifki, you know when you touch my things and I don't like it, or I say I don't like it, but it really bothers me. When I say stop, could you please stop? You're going to see how different she's going to feel. When you speak to her one-on-one and not blame her, then you're going to see how it makes things so much easier. And that's quite interesting, by the way. Does that make sense? Do you think you can practice those 2 steps?
Yeah.
Excellent. So let's just repeat what are the 2 steps. Step 1 is to be able to have that you're going to practice assertiveness, saying, no, please stop, more confident and louder. And the second step, or the second point, because it's not really step 2, the second point is you're going to be speaking to her ahead of time and tell her, you know, it really bothers me, very adel, not threatening, to please stop. And the third point is just to tell your mora, your teacher, ahead of time, you know, this has been happening, can you please help us out? Make sense? Thank you for that question. If you'd like to call in your question, you can call 718-683-5858, 718-683-5858. And I'd just like to deal with one question we have over here on the Lakewood Scoop, which I actually got from someone asked me a question. It's as follows. What's the Torah perspective on anxiety disorder? Any chizuk to be offered? And I'd like to give you a concept which I've just had, and that is as follows. Here's another, we'll just stick to this one. And Rav Nissen, it's very interesting. Someone asked me, if I suffer from depression, does that mean that I'm bad? Does that mean that I don't have emunah b'tachim? That's the question that they ask. What do you say, Rav Nissen?
I think not. I think that all of us is kind of up and down, and our bitachon, and sometimes we go in the street and you get a slap in the face. It doesn't say that you don't have bitachon, but it's painful, you know. You're going, you know, something you lose someone, you lose some money, you know. It's painful, and you can go to depression. You know, sometimes you don't know how to control. You don't know how to control it, you know, and you cannot control it. It's something that not depends on you.
Yeah.
Something to come to you and with blaming you, doing something that is not under your control, and you get depressed. It's very normal, but we have to understand that slowly come over, and life is continue. The water in Hudson River is flow back to the ocean, and that's it, you know.
That's right. So my question would be, would we chas v'shalom say Yaakov Avinu, the Bechir Sheba'ov, is the greatest of all, that he didn't have the Ruach HaKodesh all the time that Yosef was taken away because he wasn't on that level that he was, because Yosef was gone? Would you call him chas v'shalom not a Bal Emunah B'tachim? Chas v'shalom to have that thought. Again, to ask your question, 718-683-5858. What I explain is just like we have to do our hishtadlus. This is not coming from me. The Gadol prefers not to be announced on air because many times they get attacked, but it's one of the greatest Gadolim in the Litvish world that almost every sefer gets a haskama from him, so we can trust me on that. And he explained to me as follows, that using understanding emunah b'tachlim is how you believe in the Rebbeinu Shalom. Do you believe in him? Do you believe he will help you? But what happens if someone has a broken arm? Will you say, my emunah b'tachlim, my broken arm is going to get helped? Absolutely not. You have to do your hishtadlus to heal it. Now, he explains to me, emotional stress is just like that. If you have 5 things, you got to balance a business, you got your kids, you need to be at home, you have to learn, and you're not able to juggle, that is not called that you're lacking emunah b'tachlim. You're lacking the tools how to juggle life. Just like you got a broken arm, you now have a broken juggling system, and therefore you will get depressed because our brain is a physical machine, and therefore if it doesn't know how to deal with things, it will break. Not about emunah b'tachlim. An issue of emunah b'tachlim is when things are going good, when things are stable, when you're able to juggle, and you're still saying, because everyone's got the downers, and you're still saying, I don't know, I'm having these hard times. But if you're not able to juggle the basics in life, understand that it's not you. Understand that it's not you that we're talking about over here. What's happening is simply a level of balancing it. So thank you for that question from the LakewoodScoop.com. Now, we'll take a couple of questions over here. Yes, Rav Nissen, who do we have? Yes, you're on the air with Mordechai.
Hi, Mordechai. Thanks for everything. I'm still waiting for your weekly sheet. I think you didn't give it for a few weeks.
We've just given it last week, and that is the title. We all need someone to believe in us, so go ahead and let's do it for our children. So, yep, that number is 718-298-2011, and it's actually share number 59. There are 59 shiurim, hour-longs, with Mekayers.
Yes? I didn't know.
Yes, Baruch Hashem, we're able to do it, yes.
Thanks.
Let me hear your question, my friend.
My question is, what should I do if I feel like, I think you have a share on it. It's about how to get your to-do list done and how we get done time, be scheduled, on the schedule on every day.
You want to know how to get your day scheduled, how to get your structure there?
And how to get my to-do list done.
How do you get your to-do list done? Let's just give you the short version. Step number 1 is get a friend. Well, let's put it this way. Take a deadline. Deadlines is what works, which means there's a reason why we have exams, and most of us to study for the exams usually the night before or 2 days before, because deadlines work. There's a reason why when you finish a Masechta, you say the Hadron, you finished it. There's a reason why when you know, hey, I got 5 blot left, 20 blot left, you need the goal to finish. Second step is hire a coach. And I don't mean a coach as hire and pay. I mean have a friend that it's going to be, if you don't get up, you're in trouble. It's funny that somehow when we're in yeshiva, when we're in kollel, we're not able to get up. You get to work and you got a boss yelling at you. It's amazing. All of a sudden you're up. You get fired from the first job. By the second job, you're there and you're able to get it. Why? And the reason is because we got that extra pressure. So I would just stick to these 2 points. Hashem, we got over here some more callers, and we got 3 minutes to go, so let's go ahead and take the next caller. Yes, you're on the air with Mordechai.
Hi.
Yes.
I really understand the importance of having someone who's believing in me. Is there anything what I can do to get someone?
Definitely. Who's a good friend of yours? Don't tell me his name, but do you have a good friend?
Yes, sure.
Good. And I would actually ask you not to pick your wife, by the way, because then it starts getting a little bit crossed into the emotion support wife. It's not, because sometimes you need that little kick to get going, and it's not healthy for a wife to be that for a husband. Get a best friend and ask the guy, is he ready to be tough, to set a goal, and you'll set up what the consequences are. Either he'll yell at you, or he'll tell you, hey, now you got to get up early, or maybe he'll even just do something that's that. But the guy will call you up. Did you do it? Simple. Not even, no consequences, no punishment. Just simply, did you do it yet? And you'll see how when you have someone call you up that you have to answer, it usually adds on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Who do you think you can use?
I have a friend.
Excellent. Now give me another name. Don't give me a name, but have one or two people.
I have only one.
All right, let's pick up. I always like a backup. Give me a second one. Think. We got 2 minutes to go on air, and we're spending it with you, my friend. I want you to have a second person.
Maybe.
All right, we got to a maybe. I'll take that. Contact both of them and tell them, I want this and this goal, this and this time. Call me up daily. Ask me if I'm working toward it, and know that the night before a deadline, you will always be up. Every share that I've done, almost every share, always the night before, I got to touch it up or do something, or even now, just to this program, last minute, we're trying to work out last minute stuff. But if not for deadlines, we won't get done. Rav Nissen, wow, it doesn't look like we got time for another caller, do we have? No. How much time do we have left? Let me see the timer go down, so this way we'll be able to time it well. All right. So let's go ahead and take one quick, we'll take on a text over here from the line is, I have a phobia, I'm scared of train stations. I get dizzy. I can even stop and get scared. I don't know what to do. All right, let's understand that fears, phobias, stress, these things are all happening. And what that means is that we got to recognize, why is it? There's a cause to that. And when we can go into the cause, we feel healthier, we feel stronger. Just as we had that caller earlier, which she said she was afraid every time her husband gets lost, but the cause was that she was once on the train and she was lost and she didn't know how to go. Once we feel 1 second the brain feels unsafe, that we completely feel unsafe in new places, unfortunately the brain will now recreate that all the time. So once we can feel safe, we feel better. Thank you all for listening. Meretz Hashem, to hear the shiurim, it's 718-298-2011. Meretz Hashem, we'll have it very soon on the J-Root radio. Thank you all for listening. Hatzlacha Rabba.
You're listening to J-Root Radio,